Bro, they got the whole clan laughing with this one, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you're looking at a Ku Klux Klan member in Roblox next to a bunch of Nazis. Now, this is a lawsuit, ladies and gentlemen, and I feel like I live in an absurd timeline. I feel like I really do live in the wildest comedic timeline when a government state sues a gaming company and throws some of these screenshots up there. I mean, that is just wild. Now, you might be like, what's going on, Muda? Well, if you didn't know, a few days ago, Roblox imploded a little bit. There used to be a time where if you looked up Roblox in the news cycle, they were just really positive. I mean, a few days ago, I literally showed you how every single positive coverage of Roblox was pretty much pushed front and center. However, ladies and gentlemen, now if you look up Roblox on the internet, oh boy, the Louisiana Attorney General sues it, calls it the perfect place for pedophiles. Oh man! Now that's an insane that's an insane badge of shame to be given. So yeah, now that a state has sued one of the biggest children gaming companies in the world, now everyone's suddenly talking about the safety of kids. You got the Detroit News going around saying, "Hey guys, this Oakland girl, 10 years old by the way, was exploited on Roblox." Now, I'm not here to jump in and just say haha, let's laugh at Roblox. Roblox has made such a severe lack of actual care about their platform that there is a history. I mean, there is a literal history of actual terrible behavior, of actual people using this platform for really nefarious purposes. Now, you may not know this, but back in 2019, you might not have heard about this story, but there was one individual, Owain Thomas, who apparently groomed 150 children in the online game Roblox. Okay, so to give you an idea, it wasn't just one person they went after over 100, allegedly. So of course, this person was working as a paralegal one time, paid a victim 400 Robux to perform something dirty on a webcam. Now, if this unnerves you, it actually really should. A while back I was looking at TikTok lawsuits, and the government was going after TikTok, and they used such phrases as, some of these children that were on TikTok Live, and, generally when you're on TikTok Live, people can throw you flowers or some fucking random shit for money. And, the actual, prosecutors, the people that were investigating it, said that it literally felt like they were at a virtual, strip club, something that filthy. And to give you an idea, this was happening on Roblox, allegedly, of course, all the time. Now, Roblox decided to sue a YouTuber, Schlep, and it's funny because, they tried to sue a YouTuber, then get sued by an entire state. So, of course, Roblox, people have been looking at their stock price, and I always like looking at these because it really doesn't mean much. Generally speaking, they dropped 10% of the past 5 days. If they turn things around, meaning that they get rid of these lawsuits and this image, then yeah, it probably will go back up. But honestly, Roblox is just one of those companies that even now, as all of this is happening, I still think they're actually just too big to fail. Now, even with that said, there's something known as the Roblox Video Stars program. And I know one YouTuber who I believe was on that program, Creekcraft. Now, Creekcraft is a pretty harmless, family-friendly guy. But he decided to go into the actual trenches of Roblox and show just how easy it is for a child on a fresh brand new account to find disgusting imagery. Watch this.
Okay, so I've just made a fresh account, brand new Roblox account. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join Meep City. And I just want to see how long it takes until I see something inappropriate in the game. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and join on in. This is a fresh account. All right, never played on it before. And yep, there's a penis.
Now, for anybody that doesn't know, I had to blur it out. The wiener is right here. So in 20 seconds, well, less than 20 seconds, he was able to connect to a Roblox world that had a school inside it, a playground, and a giant walking penis. Yeah, you know. You can't really make any of this up at this point. You just have to sometimes look at the world we live in now and just kind of laugh about everything, as fucked up as it is. Now, to go back to the kind of disgusting people that would prey on your children over a game like Roblox, for instance, a 48-year-old man was going after an 8-year-old girl, okay? Okay, but how did he? How was he? How was he? What was he doing necessarily that was shocking? Well, apparently he sent the Robux, obviously, to this person in exchange for videos that an 8-year-old should not be able to send. It's actually illegal for that person to send. Now, a lot of this centers around something like Robux, and for anybody that is so fucking inside their house the entire time, Robux is a currency you use to purchase on Roblox. In fact, most games in Roblox have like battle passes. They're more monetized than some of the most monetized shit that I've played on actual Steam, real consoles, whatever. So here, you purchase all this Roblox, whatever, for $6 Canadian, all the way up to $280. And in this, you can use to purchase like all of these crazy little like cosmetics or features in a lot of these popular games that children love to play. It's actually one of the most monetized platforms. Like if you ever sat down and saw just how much money moved through Roblox, the developers on this platform, not even the best developers, not even the ones with the most popular games, are making actual generational wealth levels of money over Roblox. It's actually crazy how big this platform really is. Now, generally when you have an intermix of like adults and children, obviously the adults have the ability to buy fucking Robux, okay? I can whip out my credit card anytime, I can buy some Robux. You know who can't do that? A little child. Little kids don't have access to disposable money, at least to the level of purchasing Robux. So what do? You know, you can either bitch and moan at your parents to get you some Robux, and your parents are probably going to be like, okay, maybe on your birthday, maybe on a special event, maybe here and there. But a groomer on the internet, you know, who's really looking for underage, looking for kids, if you will be like, wow, I'll consider this an investment on my end. As disgusting as that sounds. There's this weird sort of like monetary incentive, you know, that children really need. Children want this Robux. And unfortunately, the most disgusting of our society is willing to give it. Now, in this entire situation, the reason why, obviously, as you all know, this blew up into the way that it did, was that Roblox decided, you know, we're going to go out of our way and actually try to attack some of the creators that are raising awareness. So Schlepp, amongst other people, were vigilantes. Vigilantes on Roblox trying to find these sick creeps and actually bring them to justice. Now, normally, I would look at this and say, maybe there's two sides to a story. But in this case, there really isn't two sides to the story. In fact, if anything, it's just these guys were working with law enforcement agencies, they tried to work with Roblox, and they literally got shut out. You know, it's to the point where obviously if you go to Roblox, you look at literally their website, and they do talk about like, hey, we want to double down on the removals of vigilantes from their platforms. So they say, we realize that no platform is perfect. Yeah, of course no platform's perfect, guys. Obviously it isn't. But your platform has had this happen so long. Those stories, those actual like articles that I showed you were like 2 articles out of at least 40 that I can show you on this video. Now, I don't want to just attack you with Roblox predators and the stories of them, but this has been happening for so long. So again, it's an issue that I feel exists really heavily on Roblox. Like for some reason, on this platform alone, there's just a whole shit ton of predators. And the CEO is worried about how do we make dating more accessible on a platform where the average age is still fucking swimming around in embryonic fluid. That is insanity to me. So the reason they removed vigilantes is because these groups began by reporting safety concerns, commenting on news, and challenging us to do better. So they appreciated the feedback, appreciated enough to give a fucking lawsuit threat. More recently, vigilante activity evolved. Instead of just reporting on safety issues, they started impersonating children and actively sought to connect with adult users. Yeah, that's what we call a sting operation. You know, law enforcement agencies, especially ones that you work with, will often do that to see, you know, which adult is out there trying to prey on children, okay? You know, these guys aren't just going to come out and say, hey guys, I'm a predator. Here's my name. Here's my address. You kind of have to work at trying to find these people. If you're pretending to be a kid and some guy comes and hits you, why are we punishing the person pretending to be the kid there? We should be punishing the person who's trying to get that kid, okay? What the fuck? The conversations mimicked inappropriate behavior and actively encouraged other users to connect to other social media and messaging platforms, thus bypassing Roblox's own safety systems. Yes, because they are showing you how this happened. You know, not all of this just occurs entirely on Roblox. Remember, Roblox is where these predators find children. it's up to these predators then to convince these children to switch off to Discord or any other platform where they can communicate with them. These are not one-off situations, and we saw the behavior accelerating across many accounts. This activity created an unsafe environment and normalized behavior that is both unacceptable on Roblox. No, what it did was it showed that these people were at least putting people behind bars. People that deserved to go to jail actually went to jail under the stewards of some of these vigilantes. Some of the same vigilantes that you, Roblox, threatened to sue, instead of focusing on your own platform. Now, do I think that obviously Roblox is too big of a platform to like completely police itself? To an extent, I would say if you have over 100 million active users, yeah, probably. But Roblox also isn't some indie company that has no funds at their disposal. They talk about like how they have this reporting system, which I guess didn't really do much considering the fact that we have so many cases after cases just in the last year or two of actual predators, again, going after these children. It's just insane that Roblox lets this happen to such an insane degree that vigilantes had to be a thing in the first place, right? Like, again, the vigilantes were not bad in my opinion, because what they did was they showed how the system worked, and they were at least raising awareness to a lot of parents that would watch this kind of shit and go, yeah, maybe I should keep my child away from a platform that makes it legitimately this easy to do. That was the big issue. I'm sure that there's groomers on places like fucking Fortnite. I'm sure there's other children's spaces that typically have like problems, but even with those other spaces, it always seems like the companies behind them, like Epic or like even Disney when it came to Club Penguin, especially when it came to their private servers, were at least using their legal teams or whatever finances they had to at least try and stomp out as much as they could. It doesn't seem to me and to many people that Roblox is doing the same shit. So of course, obviously, we go back to what we saw at the beginning of this video, that fucking lawsuit. So at this moment, an Attorney General of Louisiana, Liz Muriel, is actually now bringing the legal problems over to Roblox. So thankfully, I pulled the actual like lawsuit. I had it pulled like a night ago, simply because like I knew that their website was going to get shut down. Because of requests, because of how insane this story is. So thankfully I had it, and if you don't have it, you can still go to the Wayback Machine and pull it up. So here it is, boys. This is the nature of the action. So Roblox is one of the most popular online gaming platforms, and it's the #1 gaming site for kids and teens, and even their biggest enemies. For years, defendants had knowingly enabled and facilitated the systemic exploitation and abuse of children across the United States, including in Louisiana. Through willful disregard and deceptive practices, defendants have permitted and perpetuated an online environment in which child predators thrive. You know, the thing about this is, like, obviously, if you look at anything scary on the internet, like ARGs, creepypastas, you know, fucking the dark web or anything, nothing is scarier than, you know, a platform that has literally been designed and now it's being explained as if it's just this giant field for the internet predators to jump in. And there's a lot of evil shit on the internet. You know, there's evil organizations like 764, which the FBI has talked about. There are crazy groups where these children are brought into, and unfortunately, they're abused to an ever like intense degree. And it doesn't even have to just be like, you know, predators, like sexual predators or something. It can be people that, you know, groom these children into thinking that, you know, possibly like, you know, harming themselves is a thing too. It's really, really insane how deep this rabbit hole can actually go. And unfortunately, being the #1 website of Roblox, it is up to them to be ever so vigilant on their platform. So what the actual factual allegations here is that Roblox is easily accessible, which is true. You really don't even need to verify your email before you jump into actual you know, events, which I've shown time and time again. It's meant to be an interactive experience, so you have to encourage and communicate in real time, yada, yada, yada. So again, one of the things that they go down into was like the actual lawsuit showcased a strip club experience from Roblox. Now they say, according to the website, defendant won't allow language that is used to harass, discriminate, incite violence, threaten others, or be used in a they have a stringent safety system and policy. And then you got to be like the judge who, like, when they get the time to like maybe look through this complaint or this suit, they see a bunch of goddamn swastikas and Klan members. It's fucking insane, dude. I mean, this is just crazy. So then in the lawsuit, they say this is from a Roblox simulation, a simulation where I guess they're doing it, I guess, right? Call me daddy. Daddy. Boy, that is insanity to me. Now, I've talked about this for over a year at this point, but it really took getting sued to take down what appears to be these public bathroom simulators where people were just Roblox humping each other on the platform. And they bring up a really good point. So in this video interview about safety on Roblox, Bomik asserts that the defendant's #1 priority is to create this civil, safe, and inclusive community. And what they said was they bragged about the defendant's protection. So they had thousands of human moderators, and I assume they probably did. Maybe those human moderators were fucking dead. Maybe they're sleeping. Maybe they're just not doing their job. But they also had machine learning that is constantly taking a look at chat filters. And again, anytime companies say like machine learning, like let's just be completely real. It's technology that we've been having since the days of Evolve back on the PlayStation 4. We've had chat filters. We've had machine learning systems where, you type a word too many times, you type something racy, might pick up on a person, might ban them preemptively. This isn't some crazy tech that they've been developing to keep your kid safe. I would imagine that most of the technical measures here probably didn't amount to all that much. So of course, obviously something about this lawsuit too was they obviously brought up some of the, I want to say shitposting games, like Escape to Epstein Island. Now, do I think that this game was massively played by somebody? No, it got a review of 60%. Really, nobody was playing this online. But again, the fact that this was up there, it just stayed around, and somebody could upload this to a children's game is already a sign that you're just not doing anything. What is your machine learning doing if it just can't detect the words Epstein and Island and think, yeah, maybe that's not kid-friendly. Let's just get rid of that. So they showcased the way that some predators were able to bypass those chat filters. So this one guy goes, "Add me on Pans." Read it backwards. Obviously, Pans is Snap, meaning Snapchat. So yeah, this is where, again, it wouldn't just be Discord, it would just be other places. It's a tough way to, moderate your platform. But again, I hold no excuse to something like Roblox. They absolutely should have been on the fucking point, stopping this as much as they could. The fact that it took a lawsuit from a big state is just not, it shouldn't even have gotten to this point. Now, do I think this lawsuit is ultimately great? Actually, I'm a bit mixed on it, to be real with you. And before I end this video off, I kind of want to talk about what scares me a little bit, right? So Roblox is one of the biggest platforms in the planet, especially when it comes to children. So a lawsuit now given by the government is probably the best case example for, think of the children as a rhetoric, right? Now, obviously, we live in a day where age verification, ID gating, a lot of the stuff is actually the legitimate future. This is what the world is going to be from now on. So what worries me a little bit is a lawsuit like this, like Roblox right now getting sued, is kind of cause enough for politicians on really both ends of the aisle. Just a politician in general to go, hey, look, if the largest tech company that deals in a children's game isn't able to protect the kids, maybe we really should have things like the Screen Act, where ID verification is now a thing to access many of these services. Because again, we have to protect the children from accessing that harmful side of the internet. And I really feel like in some way it's maybe this is going to be used as precedent to push towards more of a surveillance state. I really kind of hope not. Ultimately, I've always said, anytime you let your child connect to the internet, if you give your kid a phone, a tablet, a computer, I think it's also up to you as a parent to make sure that things are locked down as reasonable as they can be. Because I feel like if you give your kid anything nowadays, any device with unfettered access to the internet, that almost does veer into child neglect for me, I almost feel like you as a parent just feel hey, I spent some money, gave my kid a tablet, and I didn't decide to use OS level parental blocking or anything to prevent my child from accessing, unsavory things on the internet. I didn't reasonably protect my child, right? When you go to a park, you always go with your kid to the park to watch and see that they don't, do something stupid, they don't get hurt, maybe they don't fight another kid, or maybe there's not some other creep that's sitting there waiting to grab your kid and run away. You're always supervising your child, right? When you go to a public park. But why don't we bring that same energy when you bring your kid a gaming console or a phone or a tablet or a computer, and you just let them, connect to the internet unfettered, and you never ever check up on what they're doing. That's the kind of shit that I really feel like needs to be addressed more. I think this is more of like a parental neglect situation. And I really don't like it when the government has to get involved. Like, I'm glad that the government is involved here because ultimately Roblox wasn't going to change until any of this negative pressure was applied. But thinking of what's going on forward, I really do think that this is like the ultimate powder keg for surveillance stuff going into the future. Now, if you thought it wasn't bad already, you know, one of the things that I saw was apparently even Chris Hansen decided to get involved into this. And now he's making a whole documentary, probably locked behind this like True Blue service that he's part of, just to talk about how much of a predator situation Roblox has. You know, literally in the span of 72 hours, maybe less, Roblox went from a company that was never criticized about this to being like the shining spotlight beacon of predator stuff. It's insanity. So even looking into like Roblox, they responded to that lawsuit from Louisiana. And of course, they don't comment on obviously pending litigation, so don't expect this to be too much. But it's just a bunch of fucking dog shit that they initially brought in. Now, Roblox even commented on that Louisiana lawsuit, and I say comment very lightly because even they will say, hey, this is pending litigation. Obviously, nobody's going to talk until this is settled. And whenever that's settled, it'll be settled. But they wanted to correct erroneous claims, and they wanted to, again, just tell us that, hey, we have a whole bunch of these policies that protect children. And again, if this was true, I don't think we would be looking at years upon years of recorded systemic history of their failures to keep their children safe on the platform. That is, again, insanity. It's really just Roblox that kind of has this issue. And it's a shame because I feel like there's not a lot of places for children to play online, and Roblox was kind of one of them. And Roblox really just cared more about their bottom line, I think personally, than they actually ever cared about protecting the children. And that's just my personal belief. You know, I'm not trying to, catch any lawsuits from these guys. They've already been handing them out like plenty. But ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar, and yeah. You know, Roblox is cooked, bro. Like, it's simple as that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like, if dislike it, I am out.